assign suitable tag from the given set of tags to each word of the sentences. A lot of work has been carried out for foreign languages, but for Indian languages, very less amount of work has been carried out. Uh, Majorly, three approaches has been used for developing POS tagger for Indian languages. Rule-based approach, machine learning-based approach, and hybrid approach. In rule-based approach, if we develop the POS tagger using rule-based approach, then purely rule-based system is difficult to develop, as Indian languages are morphological rich and words can have multiple contextual meaning, like a noun can have a common noun as well as it can tag for proper noun too. Uh, Therefore, the trend has been shifted towards the machine learning based approach, where tags are assigned based on the words and features covered in a training data set and context of the meaning. Advantage of this approach is that it is able to tag unknown words by using the probabilities and features. But the limitation of this approach is we cannot assign the weights to the selected features. Therefore, hybrid approach is better, where we can take advantage of both the approaches. Here, here we have a literature for Indian languages, where we have noted the approaches as well as accuracy which are having highest for particular Indian languages. And we have found that four taggers are available. This rule-based tagger is having accuracy 87.48, but limitation or scope of this rule-based tagger is it is bound to the dictionary as well as suffix list based rules only. It is not able to tag unknown words. Other two taggers, one is CRF tagger and max entropy taggers. For improving these two taggers, we have adopted this architecture where sentence tokenizer is developed by us, which is having 99 percentage accuracy. Then the output of tokenized sentence is given to the existing POS tagger, and on which we have applied the rule. And for testing and validation purpose, we have used TDIL corpus, which is in which 30,000 sentences are available with 3.5 lakhs tokens. And based on the output and result we have achieved, we have designed this lookup table. And by using this lookup table, we have designed some of the rules, like if current word ends with any one of the suffix purvak, pane, bher, hin, yug, the next word is verb, and the current token is adverb. And after applying these rules, we are able to increase the accuracy up to 5%, and which max entropy tagger has achieved 81.36 and 70. Other tagger is having 75.16 accuracy. But however, we want to improve the accuracy of the tagger, so we have designed our own tagger with bidirectional LSTM, which has the we have used bidirectional LSTM because it has the long short-term memory, so context can be used better way. And this bidirectional LSTM has given 90.83% accuracy, and after applying these rules which we have designed previously, we are able to achieve 91.1 accuracy, 1% accuracy. And we found that the accurate dimension of POS tag set also affect the accuracy, as well as the data set and its domain affect the accuracy. These are the references which we have used. Thank you. If any question?
No, I think we'll keep the questions at the end if there is time. Right?
Okay.
The next paper.
Shall we move to the third paper, madam?
Yeah. Please.
Just
That
so third paper is sorry, second paper, no?
Second paper, paper 200.
Sorry. So paper ID is 200 and the title of this paper is Automatic Image Colorization using GAN. And the authors are Rasi Dheer, Meghna Ashok, Silpa Gite and Ketan Kotecha. And the paper is, this author are presenting that paper through pre-recorded video. So just give me 1 minute to play that video.
Good morning, everyone. We are extremely delighted to have this opportunity to present our paper today. My name is Rashidi, and I'll be speaking today alongside with my co-author Meghna Ashok. We are from SIT Pune and are here to present our paper titled Automatic Image Colorization Using Generative Adversarial Networks. Image colorization is an age-old problem that has been solved using various techniques that have evolved over time. We have attempted to solve this problem of automatic image colorization through the use of GANs. GANs are fairly new development and we have tried to explore that domain through a project and research paper. Our project deals with having a conditional generative adversarial network model which takes fixed sized black and white images as input and obtains corresponding colored images of the same size as output. Our goal was to build a successful model using limited resources that utilizes Google Collaborative, strided convolutions, and batch normalization to colorize our images. Our resulting model is essentially a base model that beginners and students can implement and embellish to further their GAN understanding and techniques. Image colorization and processing has been studied extensively over the past 10 years with importance given to its many applications in grayscale image colorizations, aged or degraded image restoration, etc. As a part of our literature survey, we explored to trace and consolidate the developments made in image colorization using various computer vision technologies and methodologies. For the very first time, image colorization using computer-assisted process was brought about by Wilson Markle in 1970. His idea was to colorize the black and white TV programs or movies. In the computer-assisted process, a colored mask is manually in one frame in a shot as a marked image. Then motion detection and tracking are appealed on the marked images, which allows the colors to be automatically assigned to the other surrounds in the regions where no motion occurs. It sometimes requires a manual fixing. That's the drawback of it. Now, presently, image colorization with OpenCV and deep learning is used to colorize both black and white images and videos. This method doesn't require manual fixing and requires less human interference as well. It uses different approaches for image colorization, such as thresholding, gradient, region, and classification-based methods for image segmentation, etc. We also carried out a survey of deep learning architectures ranging from AlexNet, which was the very first one and the oldest, to MobileNets and ResNets, which are fairly recent ones, and the advantages that were brought about by each one of them. Though CNNs are very popular, efficient, and are used far and wide, there are some drawbacks of CNN. That is that they're very sensitive to noise. That's why GANs came in. So the first kind of GANs are having non-saturating loss functions, which gave way to conditional GANs. Later on, DC GANs, which are being presently used today, are being employed.
So moving on to the significance of GANs. Before getting into detail, let me start with some intuition on what are GANs and how they work. GANs, or Generative Adversarial Networks, is a generative algorithm introduced by Ian Goodfellow and other researchers in 2014. A classic example used to explain GANs is a game between the two characters you see here, counterfeiters and police. It's a fairly simple example. The job of counterfeiters is to make fake money that looks almost identical to real money, and the police's job is to figure out whether the counterfeiter's money is real or fake. So both of them are in this continuous adversarial deadlock where the counterfeiter wants to keep making money that's indistinguishable from the real thing, and the police are working to figure out whether it's real or not. So they keep on playing this game, and in each iteration, the counterfeiter keeps tweaking the money to make it look more and more real based on the police's feedback. So finally, the game ends when the counterfeiter ends up making money that can't be distinguished from the real thing. That is, the police can't tell it apart. So this here is the basic intuition behind GANs. And there are two main components in a GAN, a generator and a discriminator. The counterfeiter whom we just saw is called the generator in GAN terminology. Basically, he who produces an output indistinguishable from real data. And the discriminator is the police. That is, he who identifies whether the generated samples are real or fake. So this long back and forth game that they play is analogous to GAN training. The discriminator provides feedback to the generator to help it create more realistic data instances. So going a little more in depth. Okay. So these are the objective functions of our components. Firstly, so as you can see here, D of X is basically the output of the discriminator. D of X evaluates to 1 if it is a real image, else it evaluates to 0. Simply put, an objective function here is to maximize the chances that real images are classified as real and the generated images are classified as generated. So similarly for the generator, we want the generator to create images with a D of X is equal to 1. So we can train the generator by back propagating this target value all the way back to the generator. That is, we train the generator to create data instances that are inclined towards what the discriminator thinks it's real. So in a way, it's a converse function. Moving on. Okay, so in traditional GANs, the generator usually takes random noise or noise vectors of random probability distributions as input. But the purpose of GAN in our project is to colorize, that is, add 3 channels R, G, and T with relevant intensities to black and white images, or basically images containing 1 channel. Hence, we can't use random distributions as our input. To tackle this problem, we use something called CGANs, or conditional generative adversarial networks, wherein the generator only accepts grayscale images, that is with 1 intensity channel, as opposed to random noise as input. Additionally, the discriminator also takes as input a pair of grayscale and generated image and grayscale and original image and judges if the pair is fake, that is produced by the generator, or real, that is if it's an original image. So as mentioned before, our model is essentially a base model that both beginners and even students can implement and embellish to further GAN understanding and techniques. So as you can see here, very simple prerequisites are needed. We've also worked with around 60,000 images from the CIFAR 10 dataset consisting of 10 different classes. So moving on to the actual GAN architecture. So our generator network for this model is based on fully connected networks. This may look very confusing right now, so I'm just going to head over to the code to explain this better. So as you can see, this is the code and we've defined the generator architecture here. So there are 2 steps happening here, downsampling and upsampling. Downsampling is basically a type of compression and upsampling is basically a type of expansion. So what happens here is we first pass our X, that is our grayscale image input, to our generator. We use layers of convolutions as you can see here. So the image is subsequently downsampled or compressed 5 times with different stride and kernel sizes. This is done till it becomes a small vector of size 2 into 2 pixels. Following which upsampling is done. So these expansion stages consist of upsampling the matrix till it reaches the original size of 32 into 32. So in our model, as you can see here, we've used the leaky ReLU activation function. We've used batch normalization for better training. We've concatenated the first and last layer to preserve that structural integrity of the image. We've used dropout to introduce noise for more robust training of the generator. So what we've done is this strategy of compression and expansion is motivated by a special type of networks called encoder-decoder networks. So we found that this strategy helps in training the network without actually consuming large amounts of memory. So moving on to our discriminator architecture. Here again there are layers of convolution and downsampling is done here. We first concatenate the grayscale and the predicted or grayscale and ground truth image on the third axis so that it forms a colored image. And as you can see here in the last layer is connected to an output layer containing one unit, and the activation function here is sigmoid, meaning our final result is the probability of the input image belonging to either the predicted class or the ground truth class. So that's it for the code. So after defining the generator and discriminator architecture, training begins. So the discriminator is first trained with real data, and then it's trained with the generated inputs, and then the generator is trained with the output of the discriminator. So the last three steps keep on repeating. This is typically how a GAN is trained, and our model itself took around 36 hours to finish training. So there are a few training strategies we adopted to really streamline the process. GANs are believed to be hard to train because of a phenomenon called mode collapse. So during the mode collapse, the generator succeeds in fooling the discriminator into believing that the generated output is real when it's not. Hence, the generator generates similar outputs every time, and the generation itself lacks variety. So this phenomenon is an unwanted state in the training phase of a GAN. And to avoid this phenomenon, we use something called batch normalization, which is proven to reduce the probability of mode collapse. And especially in our case, during some parts of training, we found that generator generates images using the same pattern of colors along with color grids. This was the outcome of mode collapse as explained earlier. So other than batch normalization, we used a novel approach in which we train the generator to avoid using the same colors. So this sort of reverse training is for the generator, as we intuitively make the generator avoid making the same mistake of using the same colors every time. So moving on to the model results.
I think video is stopped. So third presenter, paper ID is 243, and the title of this paper is on the performance analysis of a modified force field algorithm for obstacle avoidance in a swarm robotics. And the author are Girish Bala, Senthil Muthu Kumaraswamy, and Jian Kong. So, is anybody here present in this meeting from the author? Because author have not submitted pre-recorded video, and they want to present their paper live. I think they are absent, madam. So, yes, madam, you may review or conclude the session.
Okay, fine. So we had session, session. And papers were present.
Madam, sorry for intervening.
Yeah.
But I am not getting, means we are not getting your audio properly.
Oh, okay. 1 minute. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, better.
So basically, this session had 3 papers, of which there were 2 papers which were presented. The first paper was basically hybrid quantum US stagger, again for the Gujarati experiment, and it was presented with some pros and cons which had been happening. And the second paper was a video presentation of automatic image colorization using generative adversarial networks or the GAN networks. Basically, not only GAN, they were using the GAN network. And the third paper was on the performance analysis of modified force field algorithm, which talks about swarm robotics. but unfortunately, I think the paper presenters are not there to present the paper.
Yes, madam.
So that's it to sum it up. And maybe if Chetna is there, is she there?
Chetna madam, are you there? Yes.
Yeah, I have a few minutes.
Just a minute. I'm making her a presenter.
Yeah, no, yeah. So,
Yes, Chetna madam.
I had one question to you.
Yes, ma'am.
What is this topic? And I mean, is this part of your what was the topic related to? And why this particular method of hybridization? What was the challenge you faced in hybridization?
Sorry, ma'am. Can you repeat the question because I'm not able to get the
How did you
question.
choose to go for this hybrid method of POS tagging?
Okay. Actually, ma'am, we are working on anaphora resolution. For that purpose, we are searching for POS tagger, but we were not able to find a POS tagger with appropriate accuracy. So we have first tried to increase the existing taggers accuracy, but still we want this accuracy should be enough above 90%, because this would affect our chunker as well as gender number identification and anaphora also. That's why we have used this bidirectional LSTM. But and then after, however, we want if accuracy of this tagger is good, then we are able to achieve good accuracy for subsequent components. So we have tried to, as rules are already been developed, and these rules are helping us to increase our accuracy. So we have tried this one. Hybrid approach, and literature also support that key hybrid approach gives better accuracy. So we have tried this hybrid approach.
Okay, good. And what were your major challenges? Biggest challenge in this?
Major challenges designing rules and this LSTM means ke architecture designing, bidirectional LSTM architecture and rules designing, because major ambiguity is we have found that key one word can have at least 4 different texts according to the context. So we cannot simply put that particular word in a particular tag. So designing rule is major challenge, as well as lookup table. This was the major.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So I think we have to conclude this session with the presentation of the two papers.
Yes, ma'am.
We have time, so we are in time for a short break before the inaugural session.
Yes, madam. Inaugural session will be on
Thank you, ma'am.
1:30.
Yeah, inaugural session is at 1:30.
Yes,
So
madam.
we can do that at 1:30.
Thank you very much, madam, for sparing your time, valuable time for us, and giving your very good comments to us and to the authors also. Thank you very much, madam.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much to conference delegates also, participants also, to attending this session. I request all of you to leave this meeting and join us at 1:30 in the inaugural session. Thank you very much, all of you.